An Introduction to the Book of Daniel. Daniel wrote this prophetic book in Babylon. He was taken to Babylon, likely as a young Judean prince, along with other nobles. In time, Daniel served as a government official for the Babylonians and later for the Medo-Persians. Daniel opens his book by relating events that began in 618 BCE when he was still a young man. He completed his writing in approximately 536 BCE. Obadiah, Ezekiel, and Jeremiah were Daniel's contemporaries. They lived during a tumultuous period of Israel's history that included the destruction of Jerusalem. Daniel witnessed the Medo-Persian conquest of Babylon and the return of a faithful remnant of God's people to Jerusalem. However, he did not join those returning to Jerusalem, likely because of his advanced age. The book of Daniel has 12 chapters. Chapters 1 to 6 record in chronological order the experiences of Daniel and those of his 3 companions. Chapters 7 to 12 contain Daniel's account of prophetic dreams and visions that he received by inspiration. Chapters 1, 3, and 6 recount the various tests of integrity that Daniel and his Hebrew companions successfully meet. As young men, they reject food and drink that would make them unclean in God's sight. Sometime after this, Daniel's 3 companions, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, bravely face death in a fiery furnace for refusing to worship an image representing the Babylonian state. Years later, despite an official decree prohibiting petitions to anyone but Darius, Daniel perseveres in prayer to Jehovah, and as a result, is thrown into a lion's pit. With each test, Daniel and his companions maintain their integrity, and Jehovah protects them. Chapters 2 and 4 describe how Jehovah gives Daniel the ability to interpret 2 of King Nebuchadnezzar's dreams. Each of these divinely sent dreams has prophetic significance. The first dream is of an immense image made of various metals. This image represents successive world powers that have had a major influence on God's people. The prophecy ends with the destruction of these powers, and with God's kingdom as the only government ruling over mankind. Nebuchadnezzar's second dream features a tree that reaches to the heavens. It is cut down, and the stump is banded for 7 times. This symbolizes an interruption of rulership. However, the stump is allowed to remain, indicating a restoration of rulership. Chapter 5 relates that handwriting miraculously appears on the wall of the palace where Babylonian King Belshazzar holds a feast. Daniel tells Belshazzar that the handwriting warns of the conquest of Babylon by the Medes and the Persians. Babylon falls that very night. Did you know? A large portion of the book of Daniel was written in the Aramaic language. Aramaic was commonly spoken in ancient times, having the same letters in its alphabet as did Hebrew. Chapters 7 and 8 describe the visions Daniel sees of a series of beasts that picture the rise and fall of Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. Also, Jehovah gives his Son an everlasting kingdom that will replace all human governments. Chapter 9 relates that Daniel discerns from his study of God's written word that the Jews' release from captivity is imminent. Next, we read that while Daniel is praying, an angel appears to him and reveals details concerning the Messiah. Chapters 10 to 12 discuss the event when an angel again visits Daniel, encourages him, and gives him an additional vision of the future. A large part of the prophecy describes a conflict between 2 kings locked in a struggle for supremacy. The fulfillment of the prophecy would extend to the final part of the days. The angel reassures Daniel of God's approval and tells him that Although he will soon rest in death, he will stand up in the resurrection at the end of the days. As you read this book, note how much Jehovah values Daniel's faithfulness, how Jehovah maneuvers kings and kingdoms according to his purpose, and how Jehovah gives his Son an everlasting kingdom that will replace all human governments.